Welcome to the Gringos in Buenos Aires podcast, the podcast that brings expat / immigrant life to you. I'm your host, Paul Perry, and today's dose is brought to you by Be Trusty. For midterm rental, hassle-free in BA and in other cool spots around Argentina, Be Trusty. And today's guest is originally from London, England, no stranger to life over the rainbow, and he's back to once again enlighten us with his words and his experience. But this time the question is, salta o no salta el inglés? Welcome, Dominic.
Hello.
How you doing, man? Mike's out of whack. How you doing, man? Thank you for being back on the show.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All good. Having a good time. Enjoying life, enjoying the
There's
World
a lot
Cup.
to enjoy at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
World Cup?
The World Cup. The World Cup is on everybody's minds, thoughts.
Nada más, amigo. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
How you live in the World Cup?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I'll give you an example, right, of what life is like for me at the moment. You know how everybody's talking about how if you're an Argentina supporter and you've been watching this World Cup and you're watching the games and every single game has been torture. You know, you've been suffering. Everyone's been suffering. And everyone's saying that everyone's having a heart attack. There are heart attacks all over the country, etc. Well, think about it from my point of view, right? I've got two teams now in the semi-final, and each team has been giving me a heart attack. I've had double the amount of heart attacks of everybody else. I've been so stressed by this that I actually have got sick. Like I'm ill. I got like a chest infection or something. This morning I was at the hospital, right? The doctor sees me, he says, sit down. He says, how are you doing? He says, where are you from? I say, I'm from England, but I live here. And he looked at me because ahead of the semi-final, England and Argentina, of course, are facing each other. And he said, And he said, have you been watching the World Cup? And I said, por supuesto, sí. Yeah? And he said, that's why you're ill. That's why you have a chest infection. That was genuinely his diagnosis, is that it was the football. You know? He was like, man, you need to have less stress in your life, and I recommend not watching the game tomorrow. Seriously. And I was like, well, it's kind of, I mean, obviously, A, I'm going to watch, but B, it's sort of my job to watch, you know? So I'm not going to take his advice, but I am going to take his antibiotics.
Sure. You know, I got sick too. I got sick after the last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came down. Everyone I know is sick.
Honestly, today at the hospital, I've never seen the place so full, you know? And everybody it was like everybody had tuberculosis or something. They're coughing. Man, I'm serious. But I'm intrigued as to why stress about a football game. And there has been a lot of it over the last few weeks. I mean, un montón. Like, it's just been too much, right? But why would that lead to upper respiratory infections? You know, somebody needs to do a study on this, write a paper on this, because I can't be the only one to have noticed this. I hope not, anyway, because I'm not a medical man.
Well, you know that they say that when you're depressed or you're overwhelmed by something or a loss or whatever, your defenses drop.
Yeah, but both teams have won. Think about this, okay? Like everybody's sick and having heart attacks and everything because of the victories, you know? I mean, Argentina have won every single game they've played this tournament, which is quite an achievement, you know? Actually, everybody should be sort of really tranky and really just enjoying life and like chilled out and sort of calm and breathing well. But nobody's breathing well. Everybody has breathing problems right now, you know? And the trouble is that everyone's going to be on antibiotics now, and then we're going to lose our collective immunity. So just wait till next year.
Why do you think this happens? Because it doesn't happen if the World Series is going on, or the hockey, the Stanley Cup, or
people don't get
Wimbledon.
Sick.
I mean, do people really? Because it's an entire country.
It's got to be the processed food in the US and the hormones in the beef and the chicken. I think maybe that everything we're eating here is too pure, and the trouble is that when something like this happens, we get sick because we're natural. It's more like being cavemen down here. We're cavemen, you and I, in case you hadn't already figured that out.
Yeah, well, my house is a sort of cave. It's small.
Yeah.
cozy.
You know we're on air, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
no, I'm just checking.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, for example, I think of it like this: watching the Argentina play. You watch the England games. I didn't suffer as much watching England. Though I wanted England to win so that they could have this chance of facing Argentina to make it more.
That's interesting. Why? Why did you want this? I got to be honest with you. I've been here 9 years.
Yeah.
Okay, nearly a decade of my life here. And over that decade, I got to tell you, the one event that I have been dreading above and beyond any other is what's happening tomorrow. Okay? Like, I've been dreading this moment for many reasons. Obviously, number one, because I value my life. I mean, I kind of do want to die on the streets of Buenos Aires, but I want to be for it to be in my time. Sure. You know, I don't necessarily want to die because somebody identifies me as an Englishman. So that's one reason. The other reason is because after this much time here, obviously I have divided loyalties. And I realized that this moment, more than any other, because of football, was going to trigger an enormous existential crisis for me and in my life, in my soul. And I'm feeling it, bro. Yeah. You know? I'm suffering. I'm suffering not only because of the matches themselves. I have an internal struggle going on, you know? I don't know anymore who I am. Like, I am so in love with La Scaloneta, and I have been since the last World Cup or prior to that. I'm so in love with this team. Yeah. I'm so in love with Messi. So in love with Messi. Sure. And I'm in love with all his teammates. And I'm just... So what I didn't want to happen is for me to also feel strongly about my own team. So I was kind of hoping that I was going to... there's a tradition in my country, of which I think I am a part, I got to say, which is a kind of a self-hating Englishman. And I think I'm kind of one of those. And that was my comfort, was to think, don't worry, if this happens, if England meet Argentina, I'm just going to be for Argentina. I'm going to pretend to my English friends who hopefully aren't watching this podcast that I was going to, no, don't worry, I'm cheering for England, you know? Yeah. But actually in my heart, I was going to be like, vamos Argentina, right? But I actually like this team. I like this team. I've enjoyed our progress so far through the World Cup. I felt a little bit of national pride. And what I cannot work out is whether the pride, the national pride that is just so prevalent here, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I would not know how to explain any of this to any outsider. But I'm wondering if, having witnessed it so much over the course of these years, it started to not only rub off on me in relation to Argentina and the kind of emotion and passion that I feel for this country now, but also for my own country. It's like I'm going to become a kind of Argentine hincha for England, right? Which is something I got to be honest, I didn't see coming.
Well, good news is, I mean, Argentina, Buenos Aires, outranks any other country in shrinks per capita. So I'm sure there's probably a shrink watching this show. I can maybe help you out with that internal struggle. I mean, I grew up in the States, and I thought at one point, who do I root for if the U.S. and Argentina make it to the final? And obviously I would root for Argentina because this is where I live. Okay,
but you say obviously. Now, what interests me is that for some reason, and this is probably one of those incredibly complex cultural questions that nobody can quite get to the bottom of, but as an Englishman, me, and as an American, you, that seems perfectly normal, right? The idea of, well, we live overseas, so we root for the country that we now choose to live in, as opposed to the country that we left behind. But let me tell you a group of people in this world for whom that would never apply. Argentines. Yeah. Okay? You could take an Argentine out of Argentina for 60 years, right? And they could be living in, I don't know, where, Bangkok or something. If Argentina plays Thailand, do you really believe any Argentine in the history of this nation or the future of this nation or the present of this nation would ever support a team playing against Argentina? Because I don't think so.
You know, actually, I had this conversation with this guy who lives in Louisiana. He's an Argentine guy.
Yeah.
He's Argentine born. He went to the States in the 90s. And we had a talk, and he was wearing his Argentina shirt. And I asked him, if Argentina and the U.S. go to the final, who you root for? And he was like, I would have to root for the United States.
No,
this
he
is an
didn't.
Argentine guy.
Are you telling me
I don't know if
that
he was saying this just for
you've
his
just
viewers.
proven me wrong?
Yeah, that's what he said. I
Great.
said,
Well, I'm
really?
glad I told that anecdote.
He was like, yeah, because I live here, he said. And I was like, but I didn't believe him. I don't think it's true. I think he just said that just in case.
You see, he was scared of you. You're an intimidating guy,
Yeah, I think
to
he
be
said
fair.
that because when
You weren't armed at the time.
in the Olympics, when the U.S. Played with Ginobili and they played the U.S. In the Olympics, and Argentina won. I was rooting for the Argentina.
Well, you're a traitor.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know,
They
but
should
yeah,
take away your...
I have Argentine blood, and not only that, man. When I got here, when
I don't.
Yeah, when I got here in 1990,
Not yet.
and the World Cup was going on in Germany, and Argentina was doing really well with Maradona, with Canigia, and they lost in the finals, but the semifinals, when they won the semifinals, my cousins took me, man, and we just boarded this train out there in the West, man, and everybody was on the train, hanging off, out the windows, screaming. We got off at Ramos Mejia at this station, and the whole place was just pumping with people, and I was like, wow, what the hell is going on? Yeah. What is this madness? It was compared to like when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup in like 1978 or something. It was just madness. And were you at the festivities over this? Were you in Obelisco? Did
the
you
last
go to the
World
Obelisco?
Cup. I haven't been to the Obelisco during this one.
Recently.
The last one I was. The
Have you
last
been
one
out?
when there were 5 million people on the streets of Buenos Aires. I was at on the 9 de Julio at the Obelisco. Oh, yeah. I was trying to get to the Obelisco. Let me put it that way. But there were 5 million people in front of me, or around me, I should say. And I mean, where does one begin with this? If people are actually watching from abroad, from overseas, how do I explain this? Okay, when there are 5 million people on the streets of a city, you feel it, right? You notice it. And it was like a rugby scrum. It was a mosh pit, basically. I was on the 9 de Julio, but I was caught in amongst such a swarm of humanity that I couldn't get out. So I was there for 7 hours, okay? And, of course, everybody was singing El que no salta es un inglés. He who doesn't jump is an Englishman. So I spent 7 hours jumping, right? So 7 hours jumping up and down. It's unbelievable cardio, But I felt like if I didn't do it, I would be the only person in a sea of 5 million people not jumping, and people might spot that, And then, as an Argentine friend of mine messaged me this morning, saying that if I don't root for Argentina against England, they're going to hang me from the Obelisco, mañana. These are my friends, okay? What are strangers going to do, So
I have a little house at the beach you can hang out at.
Yeah?
You can hide out.
Yeah, like a safe house.
Yeah, like a little safe house.
This is turning into a good movie plot, I got to say.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. I'll end up having to escape, on some kind of little speedboat or something.
But why el inglés? Why do you think it's that? Why el inglés? Why el inglés y no el polaco, el alemán?
Well, I mean, I think there are probably 2 obvious answers to that. Number one is the very strong possibility that there truly is nothing worse that you can be in the world than an Englishman, in which case the Argentines really have got a good point. They're onto something. Yeah.
Spaniard also. I don't like the Spanish.
Right. Again, we're on air, right? I'm just checking.
Sorry.
That's okay. You don't like the Spanish. Okay.
Yeah, no.
What's wrong with the Spanish?
Well, they spread a lot of disease, man. They killed a lot of people.
Oh, I see. You don't like the conquistadores, right? You don't like the history.
I don't like the history.
And how do you feel about British history? Because we had our moments.
I know. I remember you mentioned that your grandfather or your dad had told you that before World War I, England was all around the world. They had colonies everywhere.
No, there was. There was a point, and I think when my father was at school, this is extraordinary. Right? When my father was at school, Britain essentially governed 75% of the world's surface, right? I mean, it's just unimaginably weird because now we can't even govern our tiny little crappy island in the North Sea. So I really don't understand how in the course of my father's lifetime, we've gone from this global, globe-spanning empire capable of running 75% of the earth to the kind of quilombo that we are now. It's confusing me. But it's not that I particularly care about the decline. In fact, I think the decline is something that I romanticize, and I think it's something that is in Argentina's favor in a very strange, hard to explain way. But it's a very romantic place, and I think that that its sort of downward trajectory over the past 100 years, in some ways, helps to explain some of that emotion. You know.
Well, getting back to the British being crap, why?
Yeah, the second point was, well, I just mentioned our history. And our history in relation to Argentina is, of course, a very touchy subject, a touchy area, which we should entirely gloss over right now and ignore. No, I mean, first of all...
history is what it is. I mean, it doesn't
well,
have much...
Well, it wasn't my fault. I actually want to say that.
It doesn't have much to do with what we're doing here.
I just want to say this on air,
we can't
right,
change
to people.
anything.
It wasn't my fault. Like, I wasn't there. I didn't start that war. And I can't do anything about it. Would if I could, because I get a lot of. I mean, you cannot imagine. I would guesstimate that something in the region of 40 to 50% of the comments that I receive on Instagram ask me to return Las Malvinas. Okay, they just say, "Give them back, you bastard."
Sure.
And I'm like, hang on, who do they think I am? The king? I mean, it kind of makes me wonder whether they're serious. Even if I could, it would be a difficult thing to persuade the British people of, but I can't. I mean, I have zero power. I'm flattered that people think I either should be king or that I am king, but I'm not, I need to make that clearer, perhaps, in my content.
I posted one time something about soccer. Yeah. And I said the word soccer. And I said, do you watch soccer?
Good move. Yeah.
Do you watch soccer? Do you like soccer?
Yeah.
And,
Smart.
Man, so 85% of the comments was like, it's not soccer, it's football.
Yeah.
And
Yankee
I know,
go home.
And well, in the U.S. it's soccer. You grew up hearing the word soccer, and I know now it's football.
Yeah.
It's football, it's ballon-pied, ball pie.
That was our fault as well as everything else being our fault, of course, the entire sort of scope of human history. But that was Britain's fault too. It's actually our fault that you call football soccer. It's something I actually learned very recently. I thought that it was just simply because you needed another word, and so you invented this stupid word because you had another game that you call football.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's that actually the association of football in my country, in my home country, I should say, in the country I left behind, is they came up with this name sometime in the Victorian era. It was officially then football, but soccer was in order to distinguish it from rugby football, which is the story is always some weird thing that I've never quite believed. It's just one of those ridiculous sort of myths about how football started or how rugby started and how they were distinguished from each other. And it was literally like, because rugby is named after Rugby School, which is a private school, or what we would call a public school, for reasons that we won't go into, in England, because I think they were playing football, right? The kids, they were playing football. And then some twerp decided that he was going to pick the ball up. And he picked the ball up and he ran with it. And everyone was like, a new sport, which I mean, everything about that annoys me. Yeah. Everything about that stupid myth. It's so ridiculous. It's like football is a game in which you you can't touch the ball with your hand. That's the main rule, right? So some kid decides to do it, and everyone realizes, oh, that's an idea. Ooh, maybe we could create another sport in which you use your hands. Yeah. I mean...
And then you put a little basket. Oh, you can throw it into the basket.
But that's it. I mean, this is not that long ago in history. Yeah. What were human beings doing before England invented every single sport known to man? What was everybody doing with their time? Like, in all seriousness, is that why there were so many wars?
Yeah, they're probably drinking alcohol.
Well, we still do that in England.
Yeah, drinking, having sex.
We don't do that as much. Yeah. You know?
Pillaging.
Not before tea, anyway.
Villages, you know. You would
Pillaging villages. Yeah, that's a pastime I personally enjoy.
You know, hanging out at the pub.
Yeah, after the pillaging.
Yeah.
Well, before the pillaging as well.
Before and after.
No, you can only pillage when you're drunk. I speak from experience.
Do you think the British back home feel the same way about this game?
That's a really good point. Really good question. No is the simple answer. They feel a lot, I guess, more perhaps than I've witnessed in a lot of the past. So there seems to be some sort of growing fervour around football. I mean it when I say I think Argentina is inspiring other countries in that regard. But there is simply no way that the idea of this being a historic and political battle and rivalry, as well as a battle and rivalry on the field of play, there's just no way. No way. There's just no way. And one of the problems I have here, and I need to be very careful about how I say this, but one of the problems I have here is attempting, which I don't really do, to be honest, so I guess avoiding is a better word, mentioning to anybody here the extent to which these issues that dominate the national discourse here, the national conversation, or the national passion, barely resonate in my country. So that unmentionable war that I mentioned in an unmentioning way earlier, really just isn't part of our culture in the way it is here. Let me just put it that way. It's not something that you hear referred to barely ever, let alone everywhere all the time.
Because they were in a lot of wars. I mean, there's been a lot of
wars.
I
think that's
been in like three wars.
That's I think the chief explanation for it. I don't think it's an Argentina-England thing. I think it just so happens, unfortunately, regrettably, that this country fought probably the most important war in its history after the War of Independence against my nation. My nation, on the other hand, has spent at least a millennia, beating the crap out of everyone around the world. So we have sort of war fatigue, you know. To us, it's just like, what? Which one was that again? The which war? Because like when you grow up in England and you study history, it really is just a series of heroic battles that our boys, fought in far-flung lands, places you've never heard of, where for no reason we just sort of thought, well, not for no reason, but do you know what I mean? When you're a kid, you're reading these history books and you're like, what's going on here? It's like we just go from country to country and slaughter the natives. I mean, and you're just like, wait, what were we doing there? Where even is that? What was so important there that we had to do that? But
and how'd you wind up here? I mean,
how'd
you become un inglés?
I was sitting on the bog. I was sitting on the toilet, mate, on the loo with a world atlas. And I thought, it's time I got off the toilet, went somewhere. So I closed my eyes, put my finger on them, and there it was, Argentina. But what I was looking for was the best country in the world. I was thinking, I wonder what the best country in the world is, And I tried other ones, including your own, where I lived for a while. And then I discovered the best country in the world, which is called Argentina. And so I came here, and I quickly realized that it was the rumors were true. It is the best country in the world. So I stayed here. But actually, look, here's the thing. In reality, okay, when I came here, I knew nothing about the place. Nothing. I don't have Argentine blood like you. I very consciously came here, very deliberately, ignorant. And I thought it would be a really fun thing to do and a kind of a good experiment. To move somewhere with absolutely no preconceived notions or expectations, right? I didn't have a romantic view of the place. I didn't have a negative view of the place. And I think that it has allowed me, my ignorance has allowed me to actually see the place for what it is. You know, I came here and just observed it and just started taking notes. I didn't speak any Spanish. I had my understanding of Argentina really genuinely did not extend beyond Diego Maradona, Leo Messi, Malbec, Ibiza. That was it. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything really about the geography, about the culture, or anything else. To say that it was a pleasant surprise is an enormous understatement. I was saying to somebody the other day that I feel like the first day I got here, I looked around and thought, yeah, this is going to work out.
Yeah.
And that is an extraordinarily complex thing that I haven't solved in my head yet. Why exactly that is.
Yeah, did you come here? Did you have a job when you got here?
Well, my job allows me to live anywhere I want.
There you go.
Right? I mean, my passport no longer does, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, I knew that that I could do what I do from here. Yeah. So in that sense, it wasn't, and it
makes things a little easier when you got.
Well, it not only makes it easier. I mean, the fact is that I got very lucky. Yeah. I feel like I hesitate to say struck gold because that sounds like
easy.
Look at me. But I did in a way strike gold with Argentina because, look, my job is relatively simple as a writer. Okay, it's that I walk around, watch what's going on, let things happen to me, say, all right, when somebody says, do you want to do this? Yeah. I go along. And assuming anything interesting happens, or I notice something or observe something I think worth recording, that's material, potential material, and maybe that turns into something I write. In Argentina, let's just say that there is a wealth of content.
So much to write about.
It's just absurd.
You can take a bus and just, I don't know, you got the talent, write a short story about something that happens.
Something always happens. You know, my joke is always that all I have to do is leave my apartment, right? And like the moment I get in the street, something crazy is going on. Yeah. It's either going on over there or something crazy will happen to me. Like somebody will come up to me and say something absolutely surreal. You know, and it's like, oh no, because I'm actually sort of overwhelmed with notes and material. But actually, that's not even true. You know why? Yeah. Because even my encounters with my porteros are insane. Yeah. Right? So it's like, I don't even have to leave my building. I go down from my apartment and something is happening in the lobby of my building that is like a little scene from a Fellini movie. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, can you just... Argentina, please, basta, like stop. Like I'm just filled up with potential, crazy anecdotes. Sure. And when I write my pieces, it is often the case. I mean, it is often the case that my editors don't believe me. And then when I sort of persuade them, no, this really happened. And it's not even a big deal. It's just something, it's an everyday occurrence here. And then the readers as well, just like, this is fiction. There's no way this happens to this guy. How does he get himself into so many insane situations? But I swear to God that I do not look for them. Yeah. This country just provides them. It's just like shoveling you crazy experiences. Yeah. I have not been bored, which is such a stupid word to use here. It's unimaginable being bored here. But I just haven't been bored for 9 years. Not for a moment. I've been frustrated, by some things. I've been elated by others. You Euphoria is incredibly common here, but so is, Bronca.
Sure.
But I've never been bored. In fact, I could do with a little bit of boredom. A moment's peace would be nice. Yeah. Like an entire decade of my life.
I read somewhere that boredom is a result of lack of freedom. So usually when you're bored, it's because you're not letting yourself do what you want to do.
That's true.
That's what
like a job.
I read somewhere, and I live on a street corner. I live on a corner.
You live on the street corner.
I live on a corner.
Oh, I see what you mean.
My house is on a corner. Actually, there
are
no
worked
corners.
the street corner.
No, I live on a street corner. My house is on a corner street.
Good place to reveal that.
And I look out the window, man, and just like there's so many things happening.
Yes.
I can see, someone is just like, their dog is pooping right there, and I'm watching, I'm waiting, to see if he picks it up or not.
Yeah.
And as soon as, one will walk away, I can say, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
What do I do? Do I open up the window? Do I say something? Sometimes I let it go. Sometimes I say, hey, perdón, and it's just like that. Cars crash.
Yeah.
There's always an accident every other.
Yeah, there's somebody screaming
once a week,
at nothing.
There's
Somebody
a
crying.
stop sign, but no one stops. Do you ever read that book I gave you? The little story book?
Which book
Buenos Aires Chronicles?
Haven't you given me more than one? Oh, yeah. Well, that's full of it. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just, it's an endless supply,
Yeah.
A production line.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do anything, really. I mean, I don't have to do anything, what's the word, like gimmicky, I don't have to go and look for a story.
Sure.
I really don't. Maybe I should. Maybe it's because I'm so unprofessional.
Yeah.
But I don't actually have to. The stories just come to me. I mean, this last week has been, a case in point, which is that, the fact that this Argentina-England thing has happened. I mean, I've just been on TV constantly for the last few days.
Awesome.
Because, I'm English.
Yeah. God bless the Queen.
And I had the fact that the song is such a big deal here about,
that
there's nothing worse than being me, which is true, by the way.
My sister-in-law's husband, my brother-in-law's father wrote the song, Vamos, vamos, Argentina, vamos, vamos a ganar, que esta banda quilombera no te deja de alentar. He wrote that song on the subway.
This is what I mean.
He got on the subway at Federico Lacroze station, the B line.
Yeah.
And he got off at Alem.
Yeah.
And in that trajectory, he wrote that song. And then for years, they sung it. Coca-Cola used it. Everybody used it.
I hate this guy.
And finally, well, he's long gone. But after 15 years of lawsuits,
I still hate him.
He finally got paid. He finally got a small settlement, which is
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, he finally got.
Because I was assuming that this guy was just coining it for that whole time.
He wrote it. He was an old guy. He drove a Ford Fairlane. He was in the Rotary Club. And he told me this story. Every time I saw him, he told me the same story.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, if that had been... I once met a guy... I remember
cool.
I met a guy once in Portugal, and he was living in this stunning villa in the hills in southern Portugal. And I met him. I was younger. And I was like, wow, this guy is living the life. I need to talk to him about how you get to live his life. And so I did. And it turned out that this guy, one time, and I know the industry's changed, but one time he wrote a one-hit wonder, way back when, He just wrote some song that is played on repeat and has been played on repeat for the past 50 years or something. And he's never done anything else with his entire life. He hasn't done a single day's work. He just, I mean, this guy, it's like if you just, you dug a spade into the ground in order to plant a flower and you struck oil, and you're just like, it's just gushing everywhere. And you're like
the Beverly
I'm in the
Hillbillies.
money. Yeah. The Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
He was the equivalent of the Beverly Hillbillies. Little better spoken, but you know.
Yeah. All right. Getting back to football, soccer, ballon-pied, ball pie. I remember you wrote a piece on Maradona. I remember you wrote several pieces on Maradona. You gave a presentation about Maradona. You're a big Maradona. I wouldn't say buff, but you followed his part of his life and death and post mortem. How do you see him compared to Messi? The main comparison.
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that. I'll tell you why, because I just had a conversation with the taxista on the way here about this exact thing.
Yeah.
Because we were driving through La Paternal, where Argentinos Juniors is, which was Diego's original club.
La Esquina de Dios is over
right,
there.
exactly. And he asked me exactly what you just asked me. Yeah. Who do you think was better, Diego or Leo, right? And my whole life, really, up until now, I've always thought that I've never seen anything, probably in any field, not just football, anything. Have I ever really seen anything like Diego Maradona? I wasn't sure. He was so skillful and such an extraordinary character, straight out of fiction. I mean, you couldn't write anything more perfect than him, than his life story, than his personality, than the extraordinary things he said, let alone the extraordinary things he did, which up until perhaps now, I was always just like unmatched. The greatest sportsman, the most extraordinary figure that I've maybe ever seen in my life. So I always understood the veneration of him, the glorification of Diego in this country was always something that I just was like, yeah, I get it. But I got to say, like Messi, I mean, just on paper alone, Messi's the most extraordinary player of all time. But honestly, what he's doing at the age of 39 on the football field, he's like top scorer in the World Cup. And he's a wizard. I mean, another taxista said to me the other day, and he was serious. This is the thing, again, I love about this country. He said, he's an extraterrestrial. Right? Yeah. And I laughed, and I was like, yeah, no, I know. And then he was like, it's cereal. And I was like, oh, and he was like, he was brought down by aliens. Yeah. I'm serious. That's what he thinks. Yeah. He was like, he gave me this long spiel about how he'd thought this through. How can anybody like this brilliant be born to man, to woman? And then he realized they couldn't. So he was just like, there's only one explanation, only one explanation possible. And that is that aliens brought Lionel Messi down from planet Zog or whatever, which I was like, sure, why not? Why not? I mean, stranger things have happened in Argentina.
Yeah, but I don't think aliens miss a penalty kick.
I don't know whether he there are so many things I can say about that. Right. Number one, I think you should never give the great players, let alone the greatest player of all time, which I just said, I think he now just unquestionably is. Yeah. Unquestionably. You should never let them take penalty kicks. There's something about it which just asking for trouble. Through my entire life, I've always watched my heroes miss penalties. Like the greatest players in a tournament or just the greatest players of their time always miss penalties, and badly as well. There's something about it. It's too easy, and these are not easy people, something like this. But secondly, in Messi's case, I've honestly wondered whether he went up to the spot and realized, because you remember he was taking a penalty to break the record, the all-time record, and he missed it. And then like a few minutes later scored a golazo, just scored an unbelievable goal, just one of those goals that Argentina scores, and you're just like, what? And you're going to remember. It's just perfect football. And I thought, So, if you're going to break a record, break it beautifully. Don't break it with a penalty kick. Yeah. I wondered whether it was just like, there's the post, I'll just put it on the other side. And 2 minutes later, I'll just get a great goal.
Someone from the States asked me, well, what's it like watching, an Argentine national team game? What's it like watching a game in Argentina? And this is American guys. And I said, imagine the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
Yankees, Red Sox tied at 1. Bottom of the ninth, 3 outs, 2 outs.
2 outs.
Full count.
Full count.
Bases loaded.
Yeah.
And watching the pitch over and foul ball, and watching that situation over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm saying 2 outs, bases loaded, full count.
You're right.
Game tied, bottom of the ninth, and that's what watching.
That's the tension.
That's the tension.
And it's extraordinary, isn't it? Because but what is extraordinary to me as well is how that experience, the experience that you go through every time, it seems to be every time that Argentina play, this extraordinary suffering that as well as euphoric joy that you end up experiencing, because they seem to make life very difficult for themselves, and then pull out moments of magic and wonder and that just blow your mind. Seems to me to be just a perfect reflection of the country itself at large. You know, and one of the things that I love about football as a game is that for whatever reason, it seems to be a perfect expression and illustration of the characteristics of the nations. Every team, if you think about this, and I once wrote a piece about this, every national team in the world plays the game in a way that you, in a kind of a stereotypical way, associate with that nation. You know, you think about how Brazil plays football, right? You think how Germany plays football, think how England plays football, think how Argentina plays football. The list just goes on and on. It's exactly what you think of that nation. So it's like, if you want to understand a nation, you could do a lot worse than just watch its football team play. Watch its tactics, watch its style or lack thereof.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to watch the U.S. Versus Australia at the Classic Bar, Gringo Hangout Sports Bar in Palermo.
See.
And it was, this is quite a crowd at the big screen, the U.S. and Australia playing, and I was looking around, observing, quite like you do. I was, looking around, observing. I think out of the 30 people there, 1 was watching the game.
What was everyone else doing?
Eating, drinking, talking, smoking. No, and I was like, wow, this wouldn't happen if Argentina was playing right now. This wouldn't be happening.
God, no.
Everybody be watching the game. And I said to this guy, I said, hey, man, check it out. Nobody's watching the game. He's like, of course not. We're all Americans. I mean, we're here to socialize. We're not here to watch the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, kind of like baseball. People go to watch a baseball game to eat, drink.
Yeah, to sort of hang out,
chill.
Just chill. Just somewhere. It's somewhere to be.
American football, that's a little bit, but people still go get their food. You got timeout.
Well,
the hydration break. The hydration break is just so that people eat and drink.
And then the TVs can go to commercials.
Yeah, it's.
But it's a very strange thing about American culture that I was acutely aware of when I lived there, because it didn't exist in my country back then. It might exist a little more now. Was that you guys seem incapable, if you don't mind me saying so, of doing anything, any activity without a beverage or without some food. It's like, I remember once I was pulling into the car park of a shopping mall.
It's like Argentines with mate.
No, it is, exactly. It's like you're just carrying around this equipment the whole time, refilling your pot, and it's just like, I like mate, I love it. But all the time, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's like giving birth, get some mate, you know what I mean? It's like, what?
Yeah.
This is why Argentina haven't been to space, right? It's because of the helmets. Think about it. How are you going to drink mate on the moon? If ever there was a title for a book, that's it. I got to go. I got to write. How to drink mate on the moon. That's even better. Yeah. How to drink mate on the moon.
Sure. Yeah, I heard in the States you can get it in a bottle. They got mate drinks.
It's becoming trendy in the US.
Yeah.
It's becoming hipster, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, in the hipster neighborhoods, people are starting to drink mate. You know, I don't know if just for performative reasons. I mean, mate is quite performative if you drink it in the proper way, not in the bottled way. So it might just be that. It might just be the same guys that sort of think that, you know, they get rid of their car in favour of a penny farthing, you know, because, so that they can, Williamsburg, so you can cycle around Williamsburg or whatever. It might be them.
Yeah. I wonder if the Argentines are drinking mate. And if they get the drug test, you know, they say, hey, man, what's this herb? What's this, you know, amphetamine?
Oh, yeah.
You're too hyped up on mate. You can't play.
Well, I've always thought with mate that it's probably the best explanation for a phenomenon in Buenos Aires. I'm not talking about the country at large, which I don't know as well as Buenos Aires. But it's always amazed me in Buenos Aires, especially having lived in New York, how this really is the city that never sleeps. Right, it's like sometimes it's genuinely hard to distinguish between 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. here, right? And I've never known that anywhere else in the world. Seriously, you know, and the energy that people have to live like that, to sort of somehow never need to sleep, has always just baffled me. You know how time elongates in this country? Sure. How, for no good reason, certainly no reason that you can afford an explanation, something that sort of starts at 6 p.m. for no reason is still going on at 6 a.m. The next day. And still, decisions have sort of not been made. There's no actual sort of final plan to any of it. It's just, and it's like you've just got sucked into some black hole. And it happens to me with such regularity here, and I look around, and everyone just seems like no pasa nada. Like everyone's completely not, and they're going to work an hour later, right? And I'm like, how is this happening? And mate is the only explanation I've found. I just can't think how people can live like this. So.
All right, Dominic. On that note, mate. I know you're a coffee drinker. I know you like coffee.
Yeah, and I've suffered from insomnia as a result.
Yeah.
Sorry, my voice is gone.
But all right. Well, I want to thank you. We're out of time, unfortunately.
I'm out of voice.
Yeah, so you're out of voice. We're out of time, and I would love to have you back again. We'll see maybe after the World Cup if you survive. If I survive, if tomorrow, Argentina wins.
I mean, if not, then that guy dangling from the top of the obelisk, that figure swaying in the wind. Soy yo. That's me.
All right, well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
I thought you were going to say, let's hope that happens. I thought it wasn't that bad, was it?
Let's hope that you're alive and well and you can jump way into the wee
alive
hours of
and
the night.
well is something I aspire to.
Yeah.
Those two things.
Jumping, you got to jump.
I'm going to, listen to me, my calves are going to be, they're going to be like rock hard, man. I'm going to be doing so much jumping. Don't worry about it. I'm not stupid.
All right, Dominic. Great to have you. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we'll catch you next time for another dose of the Gringos and Buenos Aires podcast. Ciao for now.
Gringos and Buenos Aires. The lights on the street, the rhythm is jumping. Gringos in town and everybody is humping. From the north to the south, we're making some noise. Showing the world we got the soul and the voice.